Everybody, I'm back. First off, I want to say thanks. The last video did very, very well by comparison. I have certain goals for the viewership per video, and last one was really good. So I appreciate everybody who tunes in and checks it out every time I make one of these. It's one of the things keeping me going right now. But I'm here to break down the Maia versus Askren welterweight card that's happening October 26th. Obviously not a great card. I mean, it's a UFC Fight Night. I'll get into the main event in a bit, but I want to drive by the rest of the main card. Muslim Salikov versus Laureano Staropoli. Salikov is a knockout striker, if you've watched him. Great kicks. I like his leg kicks a lot. That's what he used to set up Nordine Taleb. And that right hand that he starts Taleb with, Jesus, the guy can really hit. Staropoli, of course, a good striker in his own right, more of a pressure guy, not as much one-shot power. So it's his last fight, Thiago Alves just kind of wore him down, walked him down, but it's not the Thiago Alves of old. It's the best name on his record, but I got to go with Salikov on that one. I think he's got a lot of potential. I like his composure. I like his ability to finish. I like his accuracy. I like his versatility. I think it's going to be mostly a stand-up fight, and that favors Salikov. Cyril Gane versus Dontel Mays. If you've watched Gane fight, that dude moves a lot for a heavyweight. Very, very light on his feet, good angles. Someone's getting knocked out in this one, period. And there are a couple of reasons why. Both guys move a lot. Both guys tend to keep their hands down. Both guys hit hard. They have knockout ability. That's kind of par for the course at heavyweight. But Mays, if you've watched his fights on the Contender Series, hands low, takes a lot of damage, gives a lot of damage, wades in, bloody, and I trade punches until my opponent goes out. Gane is a bit more complex in that he angles and moves and sets it up a little better, but moving in and out the way he does, as quickly as he does, he can walk into a punch too. Mays moves a lot for a heavyweight, but Gane moves all the time. Much lighter on his feet. And whenever you have two heavy hitters who move a lot, someone's going to run into something. I would go with Gane in this one. That's my pick. He's just a bit more athletic. He's a bit more versatile. He's a bit smarter. In terms of fight IQ, Mays tends to walk into a lot of brawls. The heavyweights he took on weren't great, and he took a lot of punches. It's just he tends to wade in and get punched, and that's the way it goes. And he has faith in his ability to walk through shots. That's not necessarily a great tendency to have in the heavyweight division where you're going to run into a lot of heavy hitters. Gane is a bit more elusive, a bit harder to hit, and when he moves in with power, man, he covers a lot of distance very, very well, and has a good clinch game too. So I would say Cyril Gane in that one. Frank Camacho versus Beneil Dariush. The last time against Hein, Frank Camacho showed good striking, tight. I liked his body work. A lot of body kicks. He ate up the ribs and the elbow until the knockout came. And you could see Hein at the time kind of just wilting. Had taken so many body shots, he started slowing down. The worst knockout in MMA is the one where the person just goes, I can't take anymore. Not the one shot, but the wear down. The brutality of it. And that last time Frank Camacho had in the Hein fight, Hein just could not keep going. You could see him just kind of physically surrendering. That's not an easy thing to get at the elite level. And by elite, I mean UFC Bellator. Camacho was able to get that. Not on a great street cover. Beneil Dariush, his advantage is on the ground. A decent striker in his own right. He has his share of knockouts, but has the superior jiu-jitsu. That's what he's great with. Last win, Drew Dober by armbar. So the thing for me is, can Camacho keep this on the feet long enough to wear Beneil Dariush down without falling for the takedown, the ground game, the jiu-jitsu game? Also, Beneil Dariush, not a bad striker in his own right, so it's not like he's going to go in there and blow him away. And also, Frank Camacho, not a one-shot knockout guy. So all those things together, I would go with Beneil Dariush. He's more experienced. He's fought better names. He's a little bit more well-rounded. I think he's going to mix in enough takedowns that Frank Camacho is not going to be able to stay on the feet and work the body and kind of wear Beneil Dariush down. I don't see that happening simply because Dariush is going to go for the takedown. He's going to try and get his jiu-jitsu involved. He's going to be answering back with strikes of his own, and he's a bit more composed. If things start going wrong, I think he's going to switch and go to his other skills. Hein didn't really do that. He kept it a boxing match and kickboxing match, that didn't work out well for him. I don't see Beneil Dariush doing that. I think he's experienced enough and well-rounded enough to go, hey, look, this isn't working out well. I've got to take this down. And he does have excellent jiu-jitsu. So I got to go with Beneil Dariush in that one. Michael Johnson, Stevie Ray, that's a toss-up fight. They're kind of, in a sense, cut from the same mold. They've had good fights, bad fights. They both like to box. They both stay at basically the same range. Michael Johnson has lost fights he should not have lost. Stevie Ray hasn't shown great performances against elite talent. Michael Johnson, to his credit, has beaten good fighters in the past. So by the narrowest of margins, I would go with Michael Johnson just because he's fought better talent over the length of his career. Stevie Ray has looked okay, but he hasn't shown great moments against great fighters. Michael Johnson has had his ups and downs, but has at least shown great moments against great fighters. We haven't seen that from Stevie Ray. I think it's going to be basically a boxing match. That's right in Michael Johnson's wheelhouse, unless he falls for something stupid, ends up giving up a takedown, and which has been kind of his kryptonite as of late. I'll go with Michael Johnson, but it's really a coin flip kind of fight. Who has the better night? They're really cut from the same cloth stylistically. Stevie Ray's, I think 29. Michael Johnson's 33. There's not a huge age disparity. Michael Johnson, has he tipped over where he's just had too many wars and he's going to start really wearing down? Maybe. That's certainly possible, and we're going to find out. If he loses to Stevie Ray, could be just too many big fights against big names finally caught up to him. And his willingness to always stay in the pocket and throw punches, we saw against Josh Emmett, doesn't always work out. So by the slightest of margins, I'll go with Michael Johnson. That's just my quick drive-by the rest of the card. Damian Maia, Ben Askren. I am having trouble figuring out, usually when you see a fight, especially a main event, especially involving names, you kind of see the point. You see what the UFC is trying to do. All right, this is a contender fight. We're favoring this guy over this guy. All right, we want this guy's ability to really finish. Maybe he shines in this fight and we can really push him. This fighter's had kind of on the way out. We're going to use him as food for this guy. You can kind of see what's going on. You can see at least the motivations. They can't decide who wins and who loses, but you can see the motivation behind making the fight. I have a lot of trouble with this one because when Damian Maia has taken on elite wrestlers at 170 pounds, the kind of wrestler Ben Askren is, he almost always loses. And it's almost always an incredibly boring fight. Those two things almost always happen. He lost to Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley, Jake Shields. When it's a standout wrestler, the only ones he's beaten at 170 is John Fitch. Obviously beat Chael Sonnen at 185, but the superior wrestlers tend to beat him, and it tends to be really boring. The only fight that was, I guess, kind of exciting was the Colby Covington fight because Damian Maia ran out of gas. I thought he fought an emotional fight, spent a little too much energy early, and obviously Colby Covington's volume attack with his wrestling, it's hard to deal with, and it wore Damian Maia down, and Colby Covington put a beating on him. I called the Kamaru Usman fight. It was boring. The Tyron Woodley fight was a snoozer. The thing is, if you're fighting Damian Maia and you're a superior wrestler, you can't get taken down. End of story. So what do? You fight a conservative fight where you don't move forward and let him change levels and get a takedown. Damian Maia's style is old school, which means what? It's a top game pressure style. He doesn't have the trickiest guard in the world. It's about don't let him take you down. Don't let him get on top of you. Has good judo. Don't let him get that throw. And so what happens? They fight conservatively, and it's a boring fight. Colby Covington first got to really beat Damian Maia, and it was an interesting fight. It was a compelling fight. To beat Damian Maia, you usually have to play it really, really safe. You have to play it really safe. So the logic behind this fight, I don't really understand. Ben Askren is a guy who can be conservative under the best of circumstances. He's known for just the ad nauseum takedown and wrestling, but staying safe the entire time. I'm on top, landing not necessarily great ground and pound, but enough ground and pound. That tends to be his modus operandi a lot of the time. He's gotten more exciting in the last few years a bit, but I think against the best talent, he tends to be the most conservative. This is a Ben Askren who cannot afford to lose. He's openly talked about maybe I consider retiring if I lost, especially in dominant fashion. So what are we going to get in this fight? We're going to get a Ben Askren who knows he can't get taken down, knows he can't lose, is motivated to be extremely conservative in a 5-round fight. So is it a setup for Ben Askren? Meaning, if there was one fighter, if I were Damian Maia's management, they said, what fighter do you not want to fight? I would say Ben Askren. He's the best wrestler in the division. He's always had trouble against wrestlers. And he can't lose. So he's not going to take that risk and get caught. Damian Maia's only submission from guard in the UFC was against Ed Herman. If you remember that one, got a triangle in the guard, swept him, ended up finishing in the mount, but he got the triangle in guard. He typically doesn't do that. He doesn't have the trickiest guard in the world. He's a top game guy. So, it's stylistic. It's a terrible matchup for Damian Maia, and it's not a great matchup for Ben Askren in terms of to kind of get him back on the horse and get fans excited about him. I think he needs to fight a really boring conservative fight in order to win. So what's the end game here? If you want to rebuild Ben Askren, okay, got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal, but there's still options for him at 170, or maybe a rematch with Jorge Masvidal that people have talked about it somewhere down the line. Okay, get fans excited by giving him the most boring fight I think you could make. So is it to build up Ben Askren? Maybe, but to beat Damian Maia, you got to fight very conservatively. So he's not going to look good, even if he wins. So I'm having trouble. I would love to hear from you guys in the comment section what you think the logic is of the fight. This could be the most exciting fight in the world, and it's amazing and all this stuff, but, I don't have a magic 8 ball. I have no idea who's going to win a fight. All I can do is say, well, this fighter has done this in the past. This is probably what's going to happen. Ben Askren gets conservative in tough fights. He relies on his wrestling all the time, over and over and over again, and he stays pretty safe with the ground and pound. That's pretty much what he has done against elite talent. Yeah, of course, he caught Robbie Lawler in the Bulldog choke. He's not going to catch Damian Maia in that. I mean, he knows it. So these scrambling, moving funk transitions that he's so good at and so known for, he doesn't want to do that with Damian Maia. It's going to be a more conservative kind of wrestling game. I think it's going to be standard double legs, stay on top, stay square, don't get caught in anything. So even the funk and craziness that a wrestling fan would appreciate from Ben Askren, I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. He doesn't want to scramble around with Damian Maia. He wants to be solid and stay on top and make it simple. For Damian Maia's part, he has to somehow get on top of Ben Askren. Now, one thing about Ben Askren, if you followed his freestyle career and seen him in some tournaments, he's strangely easy to throw. That's always been his vulnerability. He's got a great single leg, and once he goes in low and grabs something, it's his game. Ivan Fedora, who beat him in the Olympics, threw him. Boom, right to his back, and he fought off his back, but those are the points that were actually cost him the match. I've seen him in other tournaments, grappling tournaments. He's where he gets thrown. Just Greco guys just catch him and throw him. Now, Damian Maia has great judo. Maybe he gets that one throw that he needs, but Ben Askren funks so well. Even in times when I've seen him get thrown, he scrambles out of it. So that's the only vulnerability I can see where Damian Maia might catch him in a trip or a throw and get on top and stay there. Maybe. But once again, Ben Askren, great funk, great escapes. It's gonna be hard to keep him there. The way I see this fight, based on all of the past experience, looking at Ben Askren's fights and Damian Maia's fights, Ben Askren by decision. That's the pick that makes sense. But it's going to be either a really conservative wrestling match, or it's going to be a striking battle between guys who don't have great striking. Damian Maia's striking is serviceable. It's okay. We've seen almost none of Ben Askren's striking. The only time we really saw it is against Jay Haran. Jay Haran was able to stop his takedowns. I think it was in the odd rounds. He was able to stop his takedowns enough to make him box, and he looked amateurish. I mean, it was like, didn't have great striking. So my issue for this is, are we either going to see a substandard boxing match between two guys who don't have great boxing, or a very conservative wrestling match led by Ben Askren? So it's hard for me to see the exciting aspect of this fight. What it's billed at for a lot of people, and a lot of stuff I've read about it, is, boy, MMA grappling, two of the best MMA grapplers. Well, MMA grappling is it's a big net that doesn't really effectively describe anything. What's MMA grappling? There's wrestling, all right? And then you got freestyle and Greco, freestyle, collegiate, and Greco. Then you have judo, sambo, and jiu-jitsu, essentially, right? All those have different goals and different specialties. Wrestlers are about control. Jiu-jitsu guys are about submitting. So their MMA grappling just doesn't encapsulate what this fight is. It's a standout wrestler versus a standout jiu-jitsu guy. Does Ben Askren have jiu-jitsu? Yes. He's not going to catch Damian Maia. Does Damian Maia have wrestling? Yes. Is he going to take down Ben Askren? Probably not. So that idea of two MMA grapplers, that doesn't tell the story effectively. I think these guys neutralize each other a lot with their styles. I'm hoping it's a great fight. Look, I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. I love me some jiu-jitsu. The point is, Ben Askren isn't going to engage him in that kind of fight. He's not going to try and pass his guard and do something crazy, go for some crazy leg lock. You're not going to get that on Damian Maia. Only way to beat Damian Maia is to stay away from jiu-jitsu completely. So I would love it if they went back and forth in, you know, an Abu Dhabi style match and Ben Askren really went for it. If he's smart, he won't do that. So you're putting a guy in a position where he doesn't want to engage, where engaging is wrong. Engaging is the enemy. So it's tough. I don't think we're going to see high-level MMA grappling. I think we're going to see a defensive fight from Ben Askren on the floor, and we'll see what happens with that. But, you know, good luck sweeping Ben Askren. Good luck getting on top of that guy. If Damian Maia can do it, he can finish him. Is this a setup in terms of they're tired of Damian Maia and they want to get rid of him? Maybe, but even if Ben Askren beats him, which he probably will, there's still fights for Damian Maia in which he would look good. This isn't one of them, however. So that's what I think. It's probably Ben Askren by decision for everything I just listed. But that philosophy of what fans are looking forward to and what they think is going to happen and why they're excited about the fight, I would love to hear it from you guys, because I think stylistically this is one of those that I'm having trouble figuring out what the end game would be in terms of who we're setting up and who we're getting behind and who we really want to win. And so I think Ben Askren wins, but I don't think it's pretty. All right? Let me know how you like it. I really appreciate you guys watching and coming back all the time and viewing every video. And as long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making them. Have a good one.